The airport hummed with activity, voices echoing over the intercom, suitcases rattling against tiled floors, and the faint aroma of coffee wafting from nearby kiosks. Amid the chaos, Tom Hanks sat quietly near Gate 32, sipping his coffee and flipping through a novel. Dressed in a casual blazer and jeans, he blended seamlessly into the crowd, just another traveler waiting for a delayed flight. But as he glanced up, something unusual caught his eye. A duffel bag sat abandoned near a bench, old and worn, its faded green fabric frayed at the edges. Most travelers walked past without a second glance, their focus on their own journeys. But Tom couldn't ignore it. Something about the bag stirred his curiosity. Setting his coffee down, he approached the bag cautiously. A small, handwritten tag dangled from the zipper. "To the finder of this bag, please open." Tom hesitated. He looked around, half expecting someone to claim it, but no one came forward. Finally, he knelt and unzipped the bag, just enough to peek inside. What he found stopped him in his tracks. Inside was a folded military jacket, a pair of scuffed boots, and a bundle of letters tied neatly with string. Each envelope was yellowed with age, and the top letter was addressed simply to Dad. Carefully, Tom unfolded the letter and began to read. "Dear Dad, I hope this letter finds you in good spirits. I'm sorry I haven't visited as often as I should. Life's been busy, but not a day goes by that I don't think of you. Your kindness and strength inspire me every day. I promise to come see you soon. Love always, Arthur." Tom's breath caught. The words were simple, yet deeply emotional, radiating love and regret. Who was Arthur, and how had this bag been left behind? Tom brought the bag to the lost and found counter, hoping someone had reported it missing. The attendant barely glanced at it. "Another lost bag," she said with a shrug. "We get hundreds of these a day. If no one claims it within a week, it'll probably get thrown out." Tom's chest tightened. "Thrown out?" The woman nodded. "Without an ID, there's not much we can do." Tom looked down at the bag. Its contents weren't just random belongings, they were pieces of someone's life, their memories, their story. He couldn't let it end up in a landfill. "I'll take it," he said firmly, gripping the bag's handle. Back at his hotel that evening, Tom spread the contents of the bag on the bed. There were over 20 letters, each one addressed to Dad. Some were written in neat, elegant script, while others were more hurried and messy. Each letter carried a unique emotion. Apologies for missed visits, gratitude for lessons learned, memories of shared moments. One letter read, "Dear Dad, I can still hear your laugh. It's what gets me through the tough days. I miss the way you always knew the right thing to say. I hope you're proud of me. I'm trying to be the man you taught me to be." Tom felt tears prick at the corners of his eyes. These weren't just letters. They were a legacy, a connection between a son and his late father. Among the letters, Tom found a small notebook. Inside were sketches of a military uniform, notes about life in the service, and a few faded photographs. One photo showed a young man in his 20s, standing beside an older man in a World War II uniform. Their smiles were identical, radiating warmth and pride. Tom turned the photo over. Written on the back was, "Arthur and Dad, 1965. The name sent a jolt through Tom. He had a starting point. Over the next few days, Tom poured himself into finding Arthur. He contacted veterans organizations, posted about the bag on social media, and even reached out to local history groups. Slowly, the pieces began to fall into place. A veterans group recognized the patch on the military jacket, and connected Tom to a small community in Indiana. There, a librarian provided him with a lead, Arthur Wilson, a retired schoolteacher living in an assisted living facility. Tom arrived at the facility on a sunny afternoon, the bag slung over his shoulder. Inside, he found a modest common room filled with residents chatting and playing cards. By the window sat a thin, elderly man in a cardigan, gazing out at the garden. "Mr. Wilson," Tom said softly. Arthur turned, his eyes narrowing as he took in the familiar face. "You're Tom Hanks?" Tom smiled. "I am. But today, I'm just the guy returning something you lost." When Arthur saw the bag, his hands flew to his mouth. "My letters," he whispered, his voice trembling. "I thought they were gone forever." Arthur hugged the bag tightly, tears streaming down his face. "You don't know what this means to me," he said. Over tea, Arthur shared his story. "My father was my hero," he began, his voice thick with emotion. "He served in World War II and taught me everything about being a good man. When he passed, I didn't know how to cope, so I started writing him letters. It was my way of keeping him close." For decades, Arthur had carried the letters with him, bringing them to his father's grave every year. "I was on my way to visit him one last time," Arthur said, "but I must have left the bag behind at the airport." Tom listened intently, his heart heavy with Arthur's words. Before leaving, Tom made a promise. "These letters deserve to be shared," he said. "They're not just your story. They're a testament to love and legacy. Let's make sure they inspire others." Arthur hesitated, then nodded. "If it helps someone else, I'd be honored." Tom organized a public reading event at a local library, inviting veterans, families, and community members. Actors and writers read Arthur's letters aloud, their voices trembling with emotion. One letter read, "Dear Dad, your lessons shaped me into the man I am today. I only hope I've made you proud. Thank you for everything." The audience was silent, many wiping away tears. The event sparked a movement. Arthur's letters were compiled into a book, Letters to My Father, with proceeds donated to veterans programs. People across the country began sharing their own stories and reconnecting with loved ones. Arthur, once a quiet man, living in the shadows of his memories, became a local hero. For the first time in years, he felt truly seen. Months later, Tom received a package in the mail. Inside was a framed letter from Arthur, along with a note. "Dear Tom, you didn't just return my bag, you gave me back my voice. With gratitude, Arthur." Tom placed the letter on his mantle, a quiet smile spreading across his face. He knew that sometimes the smallest actions could ripple into something far greater. This story reminds us that even the simplest gestures can create waves of change. If this inspired you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Story Dash for more heartfelt tales. Have you ever found something meaningful and returned it? Share your story in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and remember, every story matters.